Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and if this is our destroy media narratives. I'm George Samueli. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, um, Maya Sandu visited Kiev. Maya Sandu, who's the president of Moldova, she visited Kiev,
Are
and
you sure she's president, George?
she's supposed to be president. She managed to, win an election which was actually stolen outright by the disenfranchisement of hundreds of thousands of Moldovans living in the Russian Federation, and this after a huge amount of money was poured into Moldova from the EU. But nevertheless, she went to see Zelensky what to do about this energy problem because they have a problem with energy in Moldova, because as of January the 1st, there's no more gas coming in to Europe via the Ukraine route.
Yeah, but the Russians turned off the gas,
That
right?
the Russia, exactly. That's the interesting thing is that, Zelensky announced that that's it. He was not going to renew the agreement with Gazprom, and that therefore there would be no more gas transmitted across Ukraine. But strangely enough, the media reported it as somehow Russia is turning off the gas, and that Russia is inflicting harsh winter conditions on the Europeans. And so somehow there's the crisis in Moldova, and of course, within the Transnistria territory of Moldova. And again, Russia is to blame. So Zelensky, generous fellow that he
Indeed.
is, has offered to help out. He's going to help out this Moldova, which isn't getting the gas anymore because he cut it off. He's going to provide coal to Moldova, and more specifically, is going to provide coal to Transnistria. So, and that way, everyone's going to keep warm. So here's the story about this meeting.
Everybody is George is setting it up here. So we have a dirty alternative to natural gas.
Yes,
Okay, cheap. Natural gas is cheap.
that's
Okay.
right. So here's this again, France 24, help for Moldova. Zelensky,
Is this the back of a milk carton?
that's
Okay.
right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes, yes. He's riding to the rescue. Zelensky said Ukraine was ready to offer coal to Moldova, which is in the midst of an energy crisis after flows of Russian gas through Ukraine stopped at the beginning of the year. How did they stop?
So deceptive. It just stopped,
They just
George.
stopped. Boom.
It's a mystery. It just stopped.
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah,
knows how it just stopped.
exactly. These things happen, these mysteries. Most of Moldova is controlled by authorities in Chisinau, but a sizable minority of the population lives in Transnistria, a region which broke away in a violent conflict in the 1990s after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And that says that region, which has Moldova's only power station, is now facing the brunt of an energy crisis after losing gas supply. Again, they lost the gas supply, warning that its supplies will soon be exhausted.
Who lost it, George?
That's a very interesting question.
Because we keep
Because
losing.
that's the problem that the media they have the story. Russia is weaponizing gas. Russia's weaponizing energy. Europeans are suffering in this cold winter weather because of Russia. But then the moment you report, well, what actually happened here, that goes against the story we're trying to relay. So they leave it very vague, use the passive voice, and then they still blame everything on Russia. So Sandu told reporters in Kiev, she says, quote, Russia's latest move has been to orchestrate an energy crisis. So, again, Ukraine cuts off the gas. It refuses to renew the agreement with Gazprom. And Russia has orchestrated an energy crisis, adding that electricity prices had shot up in territories controlled by her government, but that things were even worse in the breakaway area. And it says those living in the Transnistrian region of Moldova held hostage by an unconstitutional regime backed by Russia for the past 3 decades, are now left in cold and darkness.
Okay,
Okay.
well, there's a lot to unpack there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what what she means by unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Again, you just stole an election. And again, what does it mean that
Well,
unconstitutional?
and also, I mean, unconstitutional regime. Okay, let's take that on board. But the rest of Moldova, as they like to say it in this, they
Right.
have blockaded Transnistria. Okay,
Yes, yes.
and what it has done is it's turned it into a huge corruption,
Right,
criminalized hub.
right.
Okay, because you know what, everybody, trade still goes on. Oh, but Chisinau, they don't get any taxes from
That's
it. Okay, I mean,
right.
they just shoot themselves in both. Oh, I'm going to use the Autobahn one. Shoot themselves in the lung.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
I mean,
Exactly.
none of this is explained. The
Right,
absurdity of all of this.
right. That's right. That's right. And then he goes, Sandu said this was part of a calculated Russian strategy to sow chaos in Moldova. That's her go-to story. Whatever the problem, it's always a Russian strategy to sow chaos in Moldova and to facilitate the coming to power of a pro-Russian government, an apparent nod to parliamentary elections coming up this year. So, in other words, it's a nod to Brussels. Hey, we need lots and lots of money that you're going to have to pour into Moldova to prevent this pro-Russian government coming to power in Moldova.
Okay, well, my retort to this gobbledygook here is um, you're meeting a man that cut off Russian energy to
Yes,
your country, and the breakaway area, Transnistria, has the only power plant.
right,
So, well, what could possibly go wrong here?
right, right.
Okay, and coming to power of uh, again, there is no evidence that there is a pro-Russian
No,
movement whatsoever.
no,
Okay, what
right,
people may do is what they said in Georgia is that we don't want to dance at your party
right,
anymore. Why should we be a pawn in all of this? Okay, Gazprom wanted to sell it to us.
right. That's
Our
it.
friend, well, he's
Exactly.
cutting it off Ukraine. Well, you're dealing with the wrong people. Okay,
Yes,
this is how dishonest
yes. No,
capitalism
that's
is.
right. That's right. And even this Transnistria, this breakaway region, why did they break away? Well, they broke away because they suspected that Moldova had every intention of uniting with Romania. That was
Yeah.
it. They had no intention of being a part of Greater Romania. Um, and they are Romanians. I mean, all the leaders of Moldova are Romanian citizens.
Moldovan is a citizenship. It's not a nationality.
Exactly. Zelensky said Ukraine could supply enough coal to Moldova or to Transnistria to solve their energy problems and to drive electricity prices down by 30%. So he provokes this crisis, also illegitimate, since we're talking so much about legitimacy, what's unconstitutional. So basically, we had, Maya Sandu stole an election, and then you got Zelensky, who basically is supposed to sought re-election, decided to cancel the election. So he'll drive electricity prices down by 30%. Well, why have electricity prices risen? Um, and then he says, quote, the absence of a crisis in Moldova is also in the interests of our Ukrainian security.
Yeah, but you caused the crisis.
Exactly. Zelensky said, adding that Ukraine could send a team of specialists to facilitate the use of Ukrainian coal at Transnistria's power plant. So he's basically telling the Transnistrians, hey, we'll send you a team of experts. I'm sure, Transnistria, oh, fantastic. We got some, team of experts coming here from Kiev who are going to help us out. Well, that's exactly what we've been waiting for. Sandu said it was up to.
To make that more clear to everyone, this is a Trojan horse
Of course
strategy.
it is. Of course it is. I mean, that's why it's such a ludicrous idea. We'll send them to the Transnistrian coal plant, or power
Well,
plant.
I mean,
We'll help them with the coal.
if we take the official line, which George and I don't, so the Ukrainians and energy. I mean, apparently, that's according to popular lore, they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. What do you think they're going to do to Transnistria's energy?
That's right. That's right. And incidentally, and we haven't talked about it very much, the Ukrainians are clearly targeting Turk Stream because now Turk Stream is the only way in which the gas from Russia is reaching Europe. That's how Hungary gets its gas, how Austria gets its gas, Serbia gets its gas. And surprise, surprise, they're getting attacked via drones. So, that's because the one route left for Russian gas to Europe, and it's coming under attack. Um, and then no doubt Zelensky will offer, he'll suggest to Orban, we'll help you out, we'll send you some coal. Sandu said it was up to Transnistrian authorities in the region's capital of Tiraspol to accept the aid. It's up to you. We're offering you this fantastic deal, Ukrainian coal and Ukrainian experts. Are you going to take this deal? I mean, we're trying to help you here.
Well, if I were in Transnistria, I'd say, well, why don't you just tell Zelensky to sign a contract with Gazprom? Got to solve it.
That's kind of that would solve a lot of problems. Um, so, and then here's another. This is an AFP story. Says Zelensky offers Ukrainian coal to ease energy crisis in Transnistria. Says Zelensky said, he was going to send coal to fuel a major power plant in this breakaway region, hit by an unprecedented energy crisis. They just hit it out of the blue. They got hit.
It was like hail that
Yes.
came out of the sky. Okay, yeah, unprecedented.
Unprecedented. It has no precedent. The territory, wedged between Ukraine and Moldova, has suffered heating and electricity cutoffs since the start of the year, when a Kiev-Moscow gas transit contract, which had allowed Russian gas to flow there, expired. It just expired. It expires. You're like somebody just expires.
It's like the Monty Python skit and the parrot. It just expired.
It expired. Yes. During a press conference with Moldovan President Maya Sandu in Kiev, Zelensky said his war-battered country could send coal to power the Kuchugurgan power station in Transnistria. The plant, which previously ran on Russian gas imported via Ukraine, has since been powered by coal. It previously supplied about 70% of Moldova's electricity. So you've cut off the gas to this power plant, and now you don't have electricity. But somehow it's all Putin. And then Zelensky says, we have coal that we can actually supply to Moldova. We can supply to Tiraspol if they really want people to have electricity. Zelensky said, referring to separatist authority in the main administrative city of Transnistria. And then if we give them coal, we are ready to talk about a low price, even free of charge, the Ukrainian leader added, while floating the possibility that the region in turn could supply Ukraine with much needed electricity. Oh, it's kind of such a mutually beneficial deal. Zelensky, whose own country's power grid has been battered by Russian airstrikes, said that Ukraine was also prepared to send a delegation to the plant to optimize its output. I just don't see this deal coming to fruition. I don't think they're going to take Ukrainian coal. I don't think they're going to take Ukrainian team of experts. There's kind of a simple solution to this. Hey, just start the gas flowing, and then the problems will go away.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you invite a known arsonist into your house?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Now is the time for Tiraspol to accept this assistance, this help, and to make sure that people get heating and electricity as soon as possible. Sandu said. So Sandu, she cares so much about the people who just said unconstitutional, illegitimate, that she cares so much about them.
Yeah, did the people of Transnistria participate in the last election, George?
No, yes, exactly. Exactly. There was a demonstration in Transnistria on Friday to call on Moldova to facilitate the transit of Russian gas and to end the energy crisis, local media reported.
Again, look at the to facilitate the transit.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
again, so passive. You know,
That's
no
right.
one.
So it's the key. You always have always the passive voice. Transnistria used to receive gas from Russia via pipeline that crossed Ukraine and Moldova. Kiev has refused to renew the transit contract, which expired on January the 1st, abruptly ending Russian gas supplies to Transnistria, which has declared a state of emergency. So they dump this right at the
Yeah.
very end, because they know nobody reads to the end of any story. I mean, that's human nature. That's the way journalists and editors have been playing this game for years. Nobody ever reads to the end of a story. New York Times is a specialist on this, that, and then that gives them a plausible deniability. Yeah, we provide all the information. The rest of Moldova has been spared gas cuts thanks to gas and electricity imports from neighboring Romania. Well, that's nice. So that's Romania. So who's playing energy games here? I mean, who's using gas as a weapon here? Anyway, so that's this. So Zelensky and Maya Sandu, two democratically elected leaders, two with a strong, sense of legitimacy, are trying to help out Transnistria,
You know,
trying to make sure that they have heat this winter.
it's not obscure what George and I are talking about because one of the things that we have stressed over and over and over again is that you can look at the crisis in Ukraine and you can look at it separately, but I think that that's a hazardous approach because all of these things are connected. That's why we do Georgia. That's why we do Moldova. That's why we
Right,
do Romania. That's why
right,
we do Transnistria. We do because they're all connected.
right,
All right. There are multiple fronts going on simultaneously, and we have seen George and I have chronicled here that there's a lot of unwilling people involved in this. They're saying, the one, it's one thing to have an opinion about what's going on in Ukraine, but you want to pull us into it
right.
too?
That's right.
I mean, I've been severely criticized you know, Ukraine is a victim of Russian aggression. Well, you can have that opinion, but an equally compelling opinion is Ukraine volunteered for this. And this is what the people of Georgia, of Moldova, and elsewhere are saying, but we don't want to volunteer
Right.
like the Ukrainian captured leadership did. We don't want to volunteer.
That's right.
And this is all part of this matrix that we're seeing.
right.
And that's why you need to have these fake elections and canceling elections and things like that. You have to generate this consensus of being volunteers.
Right. That's exactly the part that you have to sort of volunteer, and you basically have to mislead them into thinking that somehow this is all a part of some Russian plot to inflict suffering on NATO land. And when you read these stories, basically there is an energy crisis. It was done deliberately. There was a clear plan here by Ukraine, which means by NATO patrons, to inflict suffering on Transnistria. It's clear. It was clear from the start that they did this precisely in order to provoke this crisis in Transnistria, and in the hope of somehow causing a rift between Transnistria and Russia. In the same way, they tried to provoke a crisis in Slovakia. Slovakia needed that gas flowing through Ukraine. Suddenly didn't have it, and therefore there is a real problem with energy flows into Slovakia, and it's clearly is provoking a political crisis in Slovakia, and an attempt, and maybe we'll talk about it in the live stream tomorrow. There's clearly an attempt to affect the color revolution to get Robert Fico out. This was a deliberate strategy to provoke this crisis. So yeah, I mean, this is who's playing energy politics. Hasn't been Russia. Russia has been a very reliable supplier of energy. In fact, too reliable, because in fact, the common sense view would be, hey, these people are at war with us. They're helping our adversary. Why are we supplying them with gas?
We've been through this before. I
Yeah.
get where you're coming from, George, here. But it's really interesting is that um, again, this volunteer
Mhm.
motif, I think, is very important. Is that look what the Ukrainians are doing. They're volunteering to do the others' bidding,
Right.
nothing to do about their own
Right.
country. They
Right.
want them to lower the age of conscription so
Right.
more people can get killed.
Right.
And Ukraine is a good neighbor. No, Ukraine is turning out to be a pariah with
Right.
all of these countries right now
Right.
because the first line of all of this is that yes, Europe is facing an energy crisis because Ukraine refused to sign a transit deal with Russia. That's it. It's very simple. It's
Right.
very simple. And how much verbiage you have to go through
Right.
to try to
Exactly.
rationalize,
Right.
okay, to
Right.
build up your narrative and all of that. Ukraine is a pariah in its
Right.
own neighborhood right now.
That's exactly right. Because, and even from a common sense point of view, when they, oh, somehow Russia had no interest in this. Why would Russia have any interest in stopping gas flows? Because this gas was actually going to countries with which Russia actually has good relations. This was gas going to Slovakia. This was gas going to Austria. It was gas going to Moldova. And while it doesn't have good relations with Moldova, it was nonetheless going to Transnistria, which obviously that they're Russians. So there was no interest in this. So who had an interest in stopping the gas flow? Well, obviously Ukraine. So they were the ones who played politics here, and they did it in order to provoke crises.
And,
So the
and
whole idea of
also
saying, "Oh, this is Russia's playing games," well, why would Russia want to hurt its friends? I mean, how does that make any sense?
And that's why I said earlier we have to look at all of this holistically because this is all in the same category of destroying Nord Stream 2. It's all in the same basket, everyone. It's the same geopolitical pitch,
Right.
okay? It's all connected together. And nobody in the West wants to connect these dots. And it's going to it not what it does is it creates misery.
Yeah.
And then you have these well-funded NGOs, Brussels, they like to swoop in and batter, since that's the kind of the word of the day here,
Right.
batter people into doing things that are not in their own interests.
Right.
It's a very big picture thing that's going on, and you have a very, very low octane group of main characters here. I mean, talk about sloppy seconds. Woo.
I just find the whole story is so hilarious. Zelensky, meets with Maya Sandu, two democratic leaders, and they decide, you know what, I want to really help the Transnistrians. I feel so bad for them. It's so painful that they're sitting there cold in the dark this winter. You know what? We're going to give them some coal. You know what? We're not even going to charge them for the coal. We'll give them the coal.
Yeah,
You know what? We'll help them out. We'll actually send our experts to help them convert their power stations to coal.
Yeah, and in the same news cycle, you have Zelensky again being wanting to be the ultra proxy for Washington, is that they're going to send free food to Syria. Okay, we were the first. Well, Ukrainian diplomats were the first,
Right.
and all this kinds of stuff here. See, that's what's called geopolitics because what Zelensky he's trying to show his
Yeah.
value to keep himself in power. And that's why he's turning the screws on his neighbors. That's how desperate he is to stay in power and to be in good favor. He could care less how he destroys the neighborhood.
No, that's exactly right. Which is what he's doing. And so we've seen the effect of this has had in Slovakia. We've seen clearly great hardship in Transnistria. That was always the plan. And that goes together with the attacks on Turk Stream, the last remaining gas pipeline into Europe. And this is part of a pattern. And again, he's trying to hurt the countries that are not sympathetic to his cause, primarily Slovakia and primarily Hungary, and also Turkey as well. Turkey is kind of, as always, equivocal, but that's clearly what he's doing here. And so, he's trying to go after those parts of the transatlantic community that are, basically saying, this NATO path is an absolute crisis, catastrophic in this decisions that it's going.
George is absolutely right, because what he wants to do is on by every single metric expand the conflict, expand it in every single possible way into moving from military into agriculture, a very big
Right,
issue we haven't heard about. But when spring comes, it'll happen
right,
again with energy, with
right,
shipping, with
right.
pipelines.
Yeah.
The word, see, we have a regime in Kiev that needs the worse, the better.
Yep, exactly. The worse, the better. That's exactly what he's trying to do here. Um, and there are other leaders who are with that same program, which is one of which is clearly Maya Sandu, and another of which is our friend Kaya Kallas, and the various leaders in Poland, and that's their program. Well, the worse, the better. Let's exacerbate the crisis, and maybe that'll work.
As I've always said, it's like a roulette wheel. They just keep turning the wheel until they get
Yeah,
their lucky number.
yeah,
The misery that they create as a result, well, that's part of playing the game. Look at the sanctions against Syria. I mean, the sanctions were designed to overthrow the odious Assad regime. Well, 20 minutes after Assad left, yeah, the sanctions really have hurt the people. They went from 2010 or 11 to $60 billion in GDP down to like six last year. Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of magnitude. Okay.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Sanctions, tariffs, everything. Okay. It's all
Okay.
connected. Anyway, this is our final moment of our mega wrap on Sunday. Always a lot of fun to do. I'm really happy with the topics that George chooses. He doesn't tell me in advance. I don't know why, but he did. Okay. But I can keep up. And tomorrow we're going to have our live stream at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And then on Tuesday, when everyone is waiting with bated breath, the dogs too, is George. Full live.
The dogs are waiting because they say, "Hey, I hope the tip jar is going to be in a little bit of a better condition than last week." They say, "Well, I don't know. I'm going to do my best." So um, uh, always keep in mind this: the dogs. They're very angry. They make life very hard for us. So we've got to keep them on an even keel. We're very grateful for all of your help, friendship, and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve on the technology, and above all, we'll get our hands around this canine problem, which is very vexing. So remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.